we decided to act on it. So we sold our home in the suburbs and moved to a community of about 11,000 residents that's more rural, and bought a home on 23 acres where we would be able to have rescue animals. Warren is a rescue because he wasn't processed a year later, but I'm like, I can't break this family up because Warren was obviously really attached and protecting now in retrospect his two sick little twin sisters. So the trio came to the farm.
Welcome back to Tales of Fluff. I'm AJ.
And I'm Emily. In this episode, we chatted with Katherine, the owner of Pleasant Pasture. This rescue is rooted in love and a purpose that grows stronger every day.
It was a leap of faith. A couple in the suburbs sold everything and moved to 23 acres, driven by nothing but love for animals and the pull of a deeper purpose.
And that's where Pleasant Pasture was born, a place where healing begins for animals and the people who care for them.
We started by asking, what sparked this journey and how did it all begin?
Excellent. Great to be here with Tales of Fluff today. We being my husband and I, have been running Pleasant Pasture for 6.5 years. And we were living in a suburb, and I one day just was extremely compelled by the thought of opening a animal rescue. It just kind of came out of nowhere. But when I have something really compelling that keeps me up at night, I always pay attention to it and try to see if I can honor that, because the compulsion to do this and how it fit into the lifelong love of animals that my husband and I both have, and our love of volunteering and being part of the community, we decided to act on it. So we sold our home in the suburbs and moved to a community of about 11,000 residents that's more rural, and bought a home on 23 acres where we would be able to rescue animals. Our heart is really with a lot of the farm animals that have been mistreated, and we were able to have enough land to do that. So it was kind of serendipitous, weird, unexpected how it came about, but it was definitely the right thing to do.
What stuck with me is how unexpected it all was. There wasn't some grand plan, just a restless feeling that couldn't be ignored.
Yeah, and I love that they didn't push it away. They leaned into it, took that feeling seriously, and then one decision to listen changed everything. Oh, and Warren, the steer who wouldn't let his sister go alone, the one who followed them, protected them, and in the end rescued them, just as much as he was rescued.
Warren, oh my gosh, everyone loves Warren, and there's good reason why. Actually, I'm going to go back to when I first met Warren, and that was at the cattle farm in southwest Minnesota. And the farmer's wife, it's always the farmer's wife, it seems, that calls us when there's an animal that needs help or that would be a good candidate to be rescued. And one of the cows had just had baby twin girls, which I guess is super extremely rare. That was a Scottish Highland ranch. And the farmer was going to dispose of the twin girls quickly after birth because they were they weren't healthy. They were too small to ever produce calves. And I think twins are generally not fertile to twin heifers. So she called us and said, "Hey, I don't want this to happen. I've been bottle feeding them for a couple days. Can you maybe take them at your sanctuary?" And we had just opened, so this was about 6 years ago. And I'm like, sure. So we went down and met Carol and Henrietta, the twins, who have since been homed to other sanctuaries. And there was this young steer, about, 9 months old, that kept looming in the background. And each time we try to get near Carol and Henrietta, and he'd get closer, and he had some little nub horns, and any type of horn is intimidating. And I'm like, what's the deal with this steer? And the farmer's wife said, that's actually their big brother. And I'm like, really? She said, yeah. So he's part of our steer program. He'll be processed in about a year, but he's just, seems to really be fond of his little sisters. So I was really impressed. That was Warren, the 9-month-old steer hanging out in the back. And I actually bought Warren. Warren is a rescue because she wasn't processed a year later, but I'm like, I can't break this family up because Warren was obviously really attached and protecting now in retrospect his two sick little twin sisters. So the trio came to the farm. They were the first cattle to come about 6 years ago.
It's wild to think that Warren was never part of the plan, but he made himself part of the story. He chose them and they chose him right back.
And the fact that he came home with them, that's the kind of moment that sticks. It's not sweet, it's powerful.
Which led us to ask, has there ever been a moment when an animal's story hit harder than they expected?
Pretty much every one of them, they usually don't come here because of happy circumstances. So there is a lot of trauma and heartbreak. And one of the things that we do at Pleasant Pasture is to focus on the happy stories. And once they're healed and share rays of sunshine, because there's enough difficult, negative things in the world. But I will share this with you today. So Gus Gus and Marlboro are two piglets that came to us, like 7 weeks ago. So they're our most recent rescue, and they were at a hog farm, and their mother had 12 piglets, and then she died shortly after giving birth and crushed 10 of them, and Gus Gus and Marlboro were the survivors. And the niece of the hog farmer found out about that, and then she adopted Gus Gus and Marlboro and fed them around the clock for about four weeks before they came here. So I just have a really super soft spot in my heart for those two little guys. So that's a pretty traumatic beginning to see all your siblings and your mom pass away before you're found by the farmer. So that was a tough one.
Gus Gus and Marlboro, their story broke our hearts a little. Losing their mom and their siblings, surviving on their own, that's the kind of beginning that no animal should face.
And yet they made it, and now they are safe. And you can just feel how much they are loved at Pleasant Pasture.
That's the thing. Every single animal there carries a story, and each one matters.
And then we moved on to something a little different, the sponsorships. And we asked if there was ever a sponsorship that really stuck with them.
Oh, I love seeing the animals that individuals choose to sponsor. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to me and I'm surprised. And sometimes it's very, very obvious. If someone needs to rehome an animal with us, generally they will become a monthly sponsor and then they get little pictures and communications. So they are able to maintain that connection with the animal that they loved for a period of time. One that really surprised me and just kind of came out of the blue is it started actually at our local Dunn Brothers coffee shop in Richmond here. We have permission from the owner to have art of the animals displayed there. We've got a photographer that donates her time and her talent and takes awesome pictures of the animals. We have them blown up and framed, and we have them displayed for sale at our local Dunn Brothers. And the coffee shop owner called and said, hey, we need more art. This couple has purchased all the pictures of Warren. And I'm like, really? I didn't know who they were, and she didn't know who they were. So I made more pictures of Warren. And then this couple started sponsoring Warren. And then they asked if they could come visit Warren. And I was finally able to have a conversation with them. And the gentleman has very severe cancer, has a lot of health challenges, and might not be long for this earth. And he said that he connected with Warren's protective warrior spirit, and that he considered Warren his spirit animal. And it was so amazing to see this gentleman be able to Warren doesn't like pet it, so he didn't get to pet him, but he got really close to Warren and Warren ate treats out of his hand. And that was just such a powerful moment.
I really wasn't expecting to hear such a powerful moment that Warren had on a person.
Same. A man facing his own mortality, finding a reflection of himself in a steer, and not just any steer, that steer.
And even though Warren doesn't like to be touched, he still made space, took treats, let the man be near him. That moment, that connection, you can't make that up.
No, you really can't. And it speaks to how much these animals give, even when they've been through so much.
And the stories didn't stop there. We wanted to know what the community side of Pleasant Pasture looks like, especially during the summer garage sale.
We had, well, I'm going to back up and just mention that we had such an amazing outpouring of donations from people that we've never met, that don't really have a connection with the sanctuary, but they just really they love animals, they want to help animals, and we gave them that opportunity to do so by donating their items. So it was just such a generous outpouring, and we just felt so connected to our community and actually being. So we had people crossing the Minnesota-Wisconsin state line to bring us things where it was a really big radius of where the donations came from. They just want to make a difference. It's always so awesome to see good people doing good things. There was one moment, and it was at the very end of the garage sale, that was just really heartwarming. My cousin had donated the sport of fencing, the practice swords, the face mask, the full outfit, like the little connector things that go to a mat so you can tell when you make contact. And a lot of people looked at it. I guess not a lot of people are into fencing in our area, which makes sense. And at the very, very end, this young man got dropped off at the end of the driveway by his mom, ran up the driveway with 2 fists full of $1 bills, grabbed it, and brought it up to my husband to purchase it. And he didn't realize it came with the bag with the suit and the other parts. And when we opened that up and he saw that there was a full suit in there that he could wear, I think he wet his pants. He was so excited. It was just like the most really cute moment. So we sent him back to the car with the full fencing contraption, everything, and his money, and told him to have a good time and not poke anybody's eye out.
Okay, that fencing story. That kid running up to the driveway with his fists full of crumpled dollar bills. That was just truly amazing to hear.
And then finding out he got the whole suit, that's pure joy.
But what really stood out here was how many people gave. Strangers crossing state lines just to donate items. That's how you know something special is happening.
It's a reminder that rescue work isn't just about animals. It's about people finding ways to give, connect, and be a part of something good.
So, next, we asked about the younger visitors. What happens when kids meet the animals?
That's one of my favorite things. We do that, and when we do special need adult tours, we've been doing a lot of those the past couple years too, where a cat will rub on a child's leg or a special needs adult, and their whole energy disposition changes. And it's amazing to watch over it and over the same kind of softening of their presence. But there was it was a fall tour 2 years ago that the young man's name was Walter. So it was an October tour, and he was there with his younger brother and his mom and dad. And he has a cat, Katharina. I remember the name of the cat at home. And I was giving the tour, and we came to the cat colony part. And I was saying one of the challenges that we had for the coming cold weather is that because our cat colony went from 6 to 12 in the last couple months, that we need more heated homes for the cats because the cats all stay up in the barn. And so there was only room for 6 cats. I needed 2 more heated houses. We get the double wide houses that can fit 3 cats. That was what we were looking to raise funds for next. And that really stuck with Walter. And he went home, and his mom is an herbalist. And together with his mom, they made bath bombs that Walter sold until he had enough money to purchase 2 heated cat homes for the rest of the cat colony. And that was a really powerful moment too. He just took it on like, these cats are going to have a house, 2 houses, no matter what. And I'm going to be the one that makes it happen. I think he was 7.
Walter, 7 years old, and already making a difference.
He heard that cats needed homes, and just like that, he got to work. He sold bath bombs until he had enough to buy 2 heated shelters.
It's incredible what kids will do when they care about something, and how animals inspire that kind of compassion.
And that brought us to one of the deeper questions. What has Pleasant Pasture taught them about the human and animal connection?
I just think that animals are the greatest teachers of how to treat each other as people, where people of all ages and abilities, when they're in the presence of an animal, as I mentioned in my last answer, just really their disposition, their energy changes, they relax. And then I get to see the kindness and compassion, and just being able to express that freely, I think is just very, very healing. It's funny, you two, I think that we feel like, oh, we're rescuing animals and changing their lives. But what I see is that it's really that the animals are changing people's lives. That's what I've witnessed. And I think that's like my biggest curious surprise in the past 6.5 years is we're not rescuing them. They're actually rescuing us.
I like what she said about animals being our teachers, how they help us to slow down and show kindness.
And how we go into this work thinking we're rescuing them, but in reality, they're rescuing us.
It's so true. I mean, we always say our dogs helped us survive the pandemic. They gave us a reason to keep showing up, and they made every day better.
Exactly. And that's why we had to ask, what advice would you give to someone who wants to start a sanctuary of their own?
I know. I would say do things in phases or stages where don't try to do everything at once. What's one small way? Because anyone who wants to do this is going to have a heart bursting with compassion and energy and passion to do this. So to kind of funnel that as soon as you can is what is small way you can start helping animals or start walking this path. Maybe it's fostering, or even an outlet is starting to develop your social media or connecting with other rescues in the area. And then it stays in your next part, and then your next part, and your next part. But don't go for your huge, big vision right away. Start with baby steps, if that makes sense. That's how in my other life, I'm a business consultant for a local university. So this is advice I give to all the clients I see in my day job too, is start with baby steps and just build as you can. It's not something that, because you're making commitments to animals too, that being really cautious when you bring in the animals so that you can keep your commitment to them without overdoing it. We've all heard of rescues that, and about twice a year, I'll be contacted by a rescue that's like, hey, we're in way over our heads and we got ahead of ourselves. Can you help us with, rehoming our animals and things like that? So I think just being really conscious, baby steps, knowing that any little bit you do is awesome as you're on your journey to doing really big, great things. And can I add one more, you two?
Absolutely.
Okay. One other piece of advice is I get calls for about 50 animal placements a year, which is a lot. I only have room for 28 to 30 animals on the property, where know that the people that need to rehome the animals can be very resourceful if you give them some love, encouragement, listen to them, and give them other places or even ideas to modify behavior of the animal to keep them in the home. That you don't need to take every animal, that there are a lot of really good organizations and methods to help animals, even when you're a full blown sanctuary. That doesn't mean them living out their best forever lives at your facility. So there's lots of ways to help the animals, either directly taking them in and making a lifelong commitment.
Start small. That was the heart of it. Baby steps, one animal, one post, one partnership at a time.
Because going too big too fast can hurt someone more than help. And it's not just about good intentions, it's about sustainability.
And I'm glad she shared that second piece too. You don't have to say yes to every animal. Sometimes helping looks like guiding someone else to be part of the solution as well.
And that's such an important reminder. The work isn't just what happens on the land, it's also the conversation, the connections, and the ripple effect.
And to wrap things up, we just wanted to say a big thank you to Pleasant Pasture for joining us on this episode and for sharing with us just a small glimpse of the incredible work she is doing in helping animals and making a difference in the animal world.
And to the animals, of course, for all that they teach us, for all they endure, and for the quiet ways they help us become better humans.
If you want to support Pleasant Pasture or learn more about their work, we'll have a link in the description.
And if this episode meant something to you, take a moment today and make an effort to change an animal's life, even if it's just an extra cuddle or a long walk.
Until next time, remember, every animal has a story, and every act of kindness counts.